All right, today we're going to talk about American dance history. But we're not just going to rehash the same old names. We're going to uncover a story that's been hiding in the shadows, a story of pure intellect, powerful protest, and just raw energy that's been overlooked for way, way too long.
So when you think, who shaped modern dance in America, I bet a couple of names pop right into your head, right? The icons. The ones you see in every single textbook, every documentary.
You're probably thinking of someone like, say, Martha Graham. I mean, she's a giant of the art form, and you wouldn't be wrong. But her story? That's not the whole story. Not even close.
But what if I told you there was someone else? A PhD-holding anthropologist who used dance to fight oppression. A total force of nature whose work was so groundbreaking, so powerful, that the system literally tried to push her to the side? Okay, you gotta hear the story. Let's get into it.
So yeah, we're talking about a genuine pioneer here. A person whose work is so fundamental to dance, it's actually kind of shocking she isn't a household name.
Her name was Pearl Primus. Now, she was born in Trinidad, and she wasn't just a dancer and choreographer. She was also a brilliant anthropologist. And get this, back in the 1940s, she totally blew up the idea of what dance could be and what it could do. She didn't just string together pretty movements. No, she turned dance into a weapon, a powerful tool for both academic research and social protest.
And this right here, this is the absolute heart of her work. You see, for Pearl Primus, dance was never ever just about looking good on a stage. It wasn't just entertainment. It was a tool. It was a weapon. It was a history book, all rolled into one.
So her performances were so much more than just movement. Think of them as, well, as physical arguments, backed by intense research. They were sharp, cutting social commentaries. And they were these incredible, vibrant celebrations of cultures that, frankly, the American mainstream at the time just wanted to ignore.
And this is where her absolute genius kicks in. She basically invented a whole new field you could call dance anthropology. I mean, look at this. It's the serious academic study of culture, especially African and Caribbean traditions, but expressed and saved through performance. This wasn't a hobby. She earned her PhD and she traveled all over West Africa, not as a tourist, but as a real scholar. She lived in villages, learning dances right from the source. For her, a crazy high leap in the air wasn't just a leap, it could be a prayer for rain. The way a dancer held their shoulder, that could tell the story of an entire royal family. These movements were like living libraries of history. And she brought all of that academic seriousness right onto the stage.
And believe me, her work did not pull any punches. Take her piece, Strange Fruit. It was this absolutely devastating, raw protest against lynching. And those incredible athletic leaps she did, they weren't just for show. They were choreographed to show the last violent spasms of a dying man. I mean, think about that. At a time when just celebrating African heritage was a radical thing to do, she was putting authentic African movements on concert stages, demanding that they be respected as high art. She was tackling the subjects nobody else would dare to touch.
But, when you're a trailblazer, you're going to face resistance. And for a black woman in the 1940s, well, Pearl Primus was up against a system that was basically designed to shut her out.
And this chart really lays it out, the stark reality she was living in. While her white peers were being praised for creating serious art, what did the critics call her deeply researched work? They dismissed it as ethnic or primitive. While other dancers were getting top billing in major theaters, some of those exact same theaters wouldn't even let her perform. This wasn't about a difference of opinion. This was systemic discrimination, plain and simple, trying to write her out of the story.
But here's the thing. You can't just erase a revolution. No matter how hard they tried, her impact was massive. She created these ripples that are absolutely still being felt today.
I mean, you can draw a straight line from her work to today. First, Primus just smashes the door down, right? She brings social protest and real African dance forms to the American stage. Then, a young dancer named Alvin Ailey, maybe you've heard of him, he sees her work and is just completely blown away. It directly influences him. And he goes on to create his own legendary company. And from there, an entire generation and then another of black choreographers and dancers are inspired. She gave them a language, a foundation to build on. Her legacy isn't just in her own work, it's in all the doors she kicked open for everyone who came after.
So why does all this matter right now? Why are we digging this up? Well, because finding her story again isn't just about fixing an old mistake in a history book. It's about understanding how history gets written in the first place and who gets left out. And this really sums it all up. Pearl Primus wasn't just a dancer. She was an intellectual, an academic. And her story is a perfect, if painful, example of how the contributions of Black women, both their art and their intellect, were systematically pushed to the margins, devalued. So bringing her back into the light, that's a crucial step in fixing that pattern.
And that leaves us with one last big thought. Learning about Pearl Primus, it kind of forces us to ask a much bigger question. I mean, if a pioneer this important, this foundational, could be so completely overlooked, whose stories are we still missing today? In dance, sure, but also in science, in art, in history. Who else is out there waiting to be rediscovered?